both twins, and although both are Canadian citizens, they were eventually found in Trinidad. What do these children have in common? They were all victims of abduction, only the catch is they were kidnapped by one of their own parents. The shock of going through an emotional crime, the loss of your child or your children, can be devastating. Tonight on Citizens Alert, we'll be talking to parents who not only wish they could say their kids are finally back home, but who often wonder, will they remember who I am? Canadian External Affairs estimates that about 10,000 children are abducted every year in Canada. Now, what would prompt a parent to commit a crime with such damaging and potentially tragic effects on the life and future of their own child? If a judge awards custody to one parent, would you blame the other, a friend or relative, for retaliating? You might argue that parents who actually go through the situation may be the only ones who can really understand it. But as we take a look at a custody battle that's about to explode, imagine how you'd react as a parent in a similar situation.
How do you think I feel, miss?
It's a little late. Hello. How about a wash and a hop into bed? All right. Go upstairs. Start a bath. Now I'll be up.
We had a nice time this afternoon. It was nice.
Good.
I was wondering, do you mind if I pick her up a couple of days early next week and just this once?
Mark, what have I said before?
I know, but you've been so good about things the last couple of months, and I enjoy having her, and, why don't you have some time on your own for a change?
I've talked about this before.
Yeah, I know. Some judge.
But he made the decision. I didn't. Not to mention your decision to move out.
That's got nothing to do with this child.
Well, move in with your girlfriend again the next time you're waiting for a custody hearing.
That's got nothing to do with this damn kid.
Our kid. Child.
Exactly. She hardly recognizes me anymore. Every time I come here, it's like starting all over again.
I've said it before. Don't bring it up.
I'm not talking about this argument. I'm talking about seeing my daughter. You're so damn selfish. You're so concerned with your rights. You got your rights on the brain. I'm talking about seeing my daughter.
Look, you get her every second weekend.
That's not enough. I want to see her more.
Well, forget it.
Well, you forget it. I don't care what some damn judge has to say.
You get out of this house if you're going to start with what I think you are.
I want to see her more often, or I'm going to take her away from you.
You're what?
You heard me. I'm going to take that kid away and leave this place.
You try, mister. You just try.
What are you going to do?
You try.
What are you going to do, huh?
You leave me alone. And you get out of this house. You drag me through the mud.
I drag you through the mud? What about...
I'm a nervous wreck. I was never like this before. You lost custody because of your behavior. Not my fault, not the judge's fault, not some lawyer's fault. And now you're trying to get at me by making some idle threat.
It's not idle.
Well, this time you're not going to get at me.
You listen to me. You listen to me.
Get out of here.
Listen to me.
You get the hell out of here.
Now, you listen to me. I'm going to take that kid away from you, and you're never going to lay eyes on it again.
Both parents think they've been put through psychological harassment. Both might be angry and hurt, fresh from the unhappy experience of a custody battle. Or visitation may have gone smoothly and without incident for 6 months, when one parent suddenly decides he or she has been given the short end of the stick. If threats are made, should they always be taken seriously? Inga Kant, mother of 3-year-old Jonathan Kant, says at the time of her son's disappearance, she had an instinctive feeling that something was about to go wrong.
I had more or less a gut feeling, if you want to call it that something was going to go wrong. And a friend of mine volunteered to watch the house that particular weekend, but I sort of dismissed that thought because deep down I didn't really feel that Gary would do that, but he did.
Jonathan was due home on the Sunday night, was he not?
Yes, he was.
And at what time did you start to get alarmed that something was wrong?
About 7:30 that night.
What was your next move?
I called my lawyer, and she instructed me to call the local police department, which I did. And following which, we went over to the former matrimonial home, broke in to see if Gary had in fact left and what he had taken with him. And he was gone. All his personal belongings were gone.
How about the local police? Have they been helpful at all?
I think they have done the best they can, but unfortunately, because it's a family matter, they don't get that deeply involved.
The attitude was to I think, of law enforcement generally, not to end the courts to some extent, not to want to treat this as a criminal matter, but rather as a civil dispute between parents.
Hi. That's me again, Jessie. I'm just so worried about that argument that we had. I don't know, it was something, the way he said it, that made it all so real. Well, I remember calling it a threat at the time, but then he said it wasn't idle. I know exactly. It's exactly the way we were when we were married. He was always trying to undermine me, and he would make up stories. Well, impossible that he would carry them out. But it makes me so nervous. Well, I remember when when he first told me that he was going to leave me. Well, I still haven't gotten over that. Well, you think I'm taking it in the same way? Well, should I? Oh, I'm sorry for burdening you with this. What? Well, you know what I would do if I ever lost that little girl. Yeah. Well, can I call you tonight if I feel I need to talk to somebody? Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Sasha, I want you to come with me, okay? We're going to leave early today, okay? Now, I want you to come with me, all right?
I can't go. Not now, Daddy. Mom's coming.
I want you to come with me now, all right? Okay, let's go. Okay? Come, Daddy, let's go.
Daddy, you don't let me wait for Mommy.
What should we do? Go and call the police? Oh, my God. Yeah.
Law enforcement agencies, of course, first of all, they want to be assured that it is an abduction within the meaning of the criminal code. And there are going to be some administrative problems in relation to, for example, satisfying themselves that, first of all, that there is in certain circumstances where there is an order of the court outstanding.
On January 26, 1983, a border point alert was issued to apprehend a man last seen leaving in a black and white taxi and possibly headed for the border. The man, Elie Soffer, had abducted his son from a Bathurst Street location. His wife, Esther Ben Boussat, is still fighting her case today in Israel.
Two friends of my husband who knew that he is planning to abduct my child. And after he abducted him, they told me and they told the police that they are on the both of them, my husband and my son, they are going to Israel. And they knew that he arranged an Israeli passport for the boy to leave the country.
Did you tell the police about this?
They knew already. Yes, they knew already. Yes.
So they went to Israel?
Yes, they went to Israel. They took off from Toronto airport on the 27th, and they arrived on the 28th of January. They arrived to Israel, and nobody stopped them. They passed freely in Israel airport, and nobody stopped them. No Interpol, nobody.
But you'd been assigned custody of your son in Canada. How did Canada, the Canadian government, help you in this case?
I went to Ottawa, to the Consular Department of External Affairs, and I tried to explain them that the boy is illegally in the country, in Israel, and he's in a foreign country, and he is against his will. So what they try to do is to deport the child. But as you see, the parents are both Israelis. Myself and my husband are Israeli. Automatically, the boy becomes Israeli. So they cannot deport the child. The other thing that they are trying to do is to extradite my husband. About the boy, they cannot extradite the boy because the boy is not a criminal.
Custody of children is dealt with by the laws in each province, and if you think your child has been abducted, your first phone call should be to the police. Some people, however, have exercised another option.
What I do is I locate people. I'm a specialist in finding missing people.
Tell me about some of the difficulties in dealing with abducted children. What are the problems?
Well, you're dealing with a lot of emotions. People are very emotional, and you find that the majority of the abducted children are it's the father who takes the children from the mother. So, like, of course, women have traditionally been more emotional than men. So you deal with a lot of very tender emotions at that time. They haven't seen their children for years. Even days, that doesn't matter. I mean, once they're separated from their kids, that's it.
You've located the child and the absconding parent. What do you now advise your client to do?
What I do is I tell them to go to the police right away, or I will call the police right at the local bureau and say, look, this is the situation. These children have been abducted. You have to go right now.
Imagine the elation as a mother, after months, if not years of waiting, finally finds her missing child. While keeping her child's interests foremost in her mind, what choices is she faced with? A hurried car trip home, a youngster who might not even recognize her, an abduction charge against her former husband?
Mr. Cummings, you're under arrest for abduction. You're going to have to come with us. Put your hands on the hood. Okay, spread your feet out. Spread your feet out.
Mr. Cummings, it is my duty to inform you that you have the right to retain and instruct counsel without delay. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Mommy!
Sasha! Oh, hello.
Don Rahorsky knew where his twin boys Mark and Craig were. His wife had taken them to Trinidad, so he had to deal with the complex legal systems of 3 different countries. It took him 15 months to recover his kids, and while he was in Trinidad, he believes his personal safety was in danger.
Around January of '81, when it was starting to go into the High Court in Trinidad, and things were starting to look perhaps a little bit favorable for my side, that the court was sympathetic and, in fact, listening to what the lawyers were saying. At that point, I found out that there was a good chance of my personal security being at stake, and I got out of the country within hours.
You opted for the legal route. What was it like to function in Trinidad?
I flew 14 times to Trinidad, and then I had to fly also to London, England. Having got the orders that I wanted to in England, I also had to back up those orders by another court order and block an effort which would have dragged out the perhaps final orders in Trinidad.
Tell me about the boys. Was it hard for them to adjust to Canada again when they came back?
They started right back where they left. They got into their old sleepers. They found their old hockey helmets, all their stuffed animals. That's what they wanted. They didn't want to remember the year and a quarter. I didn't feel I had the children until I got off the plane at Toronto. I sort of let down and let out the final sigh and say, we're back.
It can be long and painful, and it's costly, not only financially, but emotionally as well. What's more, there are no guarantees of success. However, There have been a few highly publicized cases with happy endings. Ann Glover, the mother of two teenage sons, found her boys 4 years after they were abducted by their father. And Beverly Shipton could finally say the words, "Jody's home," 5 years after her little girl disappeared. Colin Maxwell, as private investigator, was pivotal to both recoveries. What's the average length of time it's taken you to find an abducted child?
I usually find abducted children under 30 days. Under 30 days, it's... Because remember, clients are paying you exclusively to work for them. So it's their time. It's their money. So you got to give it help. You got to give it all it's worth.
What are your feelings through all of this?
Children are abducted only for a few reasons. They're only abducted for a few reasons. The least of all is because that parent wants the child. At least in the father's case, I found that. I found that the majority of fathers who take children are out to get their wives.
Your clients are at a vulnerable point when they come to you.
The parent comes to me as their last-ditch attempt. Like they've been to the police and they've been through family and friends. So they're toughened up. They're toughened up for it.
My guess would be they'd pay anything to get their kid back.
I'd say that the average charge would be about $3,500, which is it's relatively, that's inexpensive. As compared to what they've already put out, as compared to, for example, legal fees. Okay, and legal fees, they're looking anywhere up, $10,000 and upwards. So you figure $3,500 to bring back a kid, or to find a kid is not, it's not too bad.
I think if this situation continues to grow, I think what hopefully we'll see down the road, where the respective jurisdictions will feel that it's such a significant problem that they will utilize or greater resources than what are being mustered at the present to help people in these circumstances find their children without having to resort to private investigators.
If the case drags on, such as a case we have ongoing here at the moment, where police officers do get tied up in other ongoing investigations, their time is limited. We cannot always put the full amount of time into a case such as this as we would like to do, and this is where private detectives can come in very useful.
I have learned that there is an investigation company in the United States. Apparently they specialize in bringing back missing people, children, even adults. They guarantee their services. The fee is extremely high, but if they don't come up with any results, say after 90 days or 120 days, you lose nothing in terms of money.
How high is their fee?
Well, it depends. It varies in each individual case. I was told that in my particular case it would be $20,000 up front.
That's an awful lot of money. How do you feel about having to spend that much money to recover your own child?
Just terrible. But I mean, you can't put a price on trying to find your child. But if you don't have the money, then, where do you go from there?
How do you feel about the chances for others who don't have the kind of money you do?
I've talked to a few of them, and I think their chances are slim. Without hiring competent and unreachable lawyers, chances are slim of getting proper jurisdiction in foreign countries to have the children returned to countries of the originating jurisdiction and countries of their birth.
And what do you figure in dollars it cost you to recover them?
Legal fees would probably be about $65,000, and the out-of-pocket expenses of hotels and food and clothing and rental cars and things of that nature were probably about $55,000.
I went here to see an Israeli lawyer. She's a Jewish lawyer, and she advised me to go to Israel and to hire an Israeli lawyer and to go to the Supreme Court of Jerusalem and to take an order that my husband should return the boy back.
How much has it cost you so far to recover your own son?
It will cost, with all the trips, around $15,000.
The new bill amending the criminal code was submitted to Canada's House of Commons in 1982, and it passed on August 4th that year. Now, it has two important characteristics. It puts the child first, and it protects children from their own parents.
Well, I think they'll accomplish a great deal because there's been a lot of confusion about the law relating to abduction, particularly when it related to this unhappy, tragic phenomena of child napping or child kidnapping. It makes it very clear as to the criminal nature of the offense, either for someone to kidnap or abduct their own child is clearly a criminal offense, and anyone who harbors or knowingly harbors or conceals a child in those circumstances is also committing a criminal offense. So I think that these amendments will have some deterrent value with respect to the number of these child abduction cases.
There were problems. For instance, one parent might abduct a child, flee to another province, and obtain custody there. Which order was valid? Where was it valid? An organization was formed to help combat this confusion. And once the new amendment was passed, to ensure that the public really understood the crime for what it is, a form of child abuse. Think about it. Is it ever right for a child to grow up without knowing the other parent?
A group of parents got together and somehow found each other and decided that we all needed the support, that we needed to get together and talk about things that we've gone through and that other parents might be going through, to share our experiences and try and help each other not make the same mistakes all over again.
Parents should put the children's welfare above their own selfish interests or revenge or whatever. The child suffers. And they do carry that through life with them.
I think the only way that we will be able to stop this is if we make children and parents aware that it can happen when you least expect it, and that, of course, prevention is the best cure.
Just before this program went to air, Esther Ben-Bassat had her son returned to her after 3 months of negotiations with Israeli authorities. Eli Sofer is still in Israel and faces extradition for child abduction. If you'd like to help Inga Kent, you can make your checks payable to Finding Jonathan Kent Trust Fund, care of the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, 201 City Center Drive in Mississauga. Postal code L5B2T4.
Transportation for the cast and crew of Citizens Alert provided by Thrifty Rent-A-Car. For reservations or information, look in your yellow pages for the location nearest you. Patrick Conlon's wardrobe, courtesy of Star Men's Shop, expertly tailored by Paulman International. Located in Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Cambridge, and Hamilton, Star's doing it with style since 1956.
Sunday, Alex's video game mania has him skipping classes and generally goofing off. But a hidden emotional problem may be at the root of his behavior. One day at a time, Global's Got It, Sunday at 9:30, followed by Donna Christie Presents Canada. Stay tuned to Cable 3 right now for The Tonight Show, following a Global News update coming up next.